Two other things we're going to learn about managing lists is how to clear the database, how to delete leads, as well as how to export lists. So for the purpose of this training, you may need to wipe the entire lead database. So don't worry, it's a training database only, so there's no problem in deleting the data. The way we do this is we go to the System Smart Lists, go to All Leads, pick the Leads tab so we can see the actual data, and then we would select all and delete the lead. Before we do that, let's take a copy of that data. We'll also learn how to export lists. So we've selected all. Now we click on this little icon here, exporting this list. We can select visible columns, or we could select all columns depending on what we want to do. But let's say we just want the data in the view we're looking at now. We select comma separated values, that's usually the best, and then we click export. So what will happen now is it will start exporting. If there's a lot of leads, it could take quite a while, and that will happily happen in the background. When that finishes, you get a notification that shows you where you can actually download the file. And there you go. The export has been completed, and now we can click on this Download Now button. That will download the actual file to our computer. So now that we've taken a backup and we've exported our leads, let's go on and click Delete to remove all the leads in our Marketo database. Now, since we're erasing all the leads in the database, Marketo asks us, are we absolutely sure that we want to delete these leads? Because in a real environment, this would be a pretty extreme action. So in this case, we confirm by typing the number of leads, clicking Cannot Undo, and then clicking No Going Back. So there you go. So now that will clear the database, which is what you want to do before you commence the training exercises so that you have a fresh copy of your Marketo database and there's no old data from someone else's training. And then we click refresh. So there's still data in there now, but eventually all these leads will be deleted. And there we have it. All the leads have been deleted. It's rare when you import a list, there isn't some kind of data manipulation that needs to occur. So with this Dyson database that we've uploaded, there are some errors in there, and we need to do some data checking to see if there's anything we need to fix. So one of the quickest ways to check whether there are null or empty values, which is a very common occurrence in data imports, is to essentially pick the field here and then sort ascending. So what that will do is it'll bring up any of the blank fields at the top. So in this particular case, we're not going to do anything because we don't really need last name for this particular campaign. So let's leave that. We definitely do need first name because we are going to personalize our email. So we've just sorted and there are no blank first names, so that's great. Email is certainly something we need to fix. So let's sort ascending and see if there's any problem emails in there. As we can see, there's some blank emails. In this particular case, I'm just going to go ahead and delete these. So I'm going to click and then shift click, select the leads I want to delete and click delete lead. It'll ask me to confirm it and the number, so always have a look at the number in case you selected more than you thought, and click run now. So this will now delete those particular leads. Now if you want to update your screen to reflect that, you just click on this little refresh button down here. So click on that and it hasn't yet gone through, so you'll notice up here this single flow action is queued, so it hasn't executed yet. Eventually it will execute. As you can see, the leads processed for, it's run and it's now refreshed automatically. So we don't need to do that. Now the other thing is country. We notice that there's some errors in the country here. AU, NZ instead of New Zealand. So we might need to update that. So what we'll do is we'll click select all, which selects all the leads. You'll see 96 selected. So the 100 we imported minus the 4 we deleted. And we're going to go to lead action, marketing, change data value, because essentially we want to change the country field where it's wrong. So if I simply put country here and a value, it would change all 96 leads, which is not what we want. What we actually want is a conditional change. So we want to say if the country, for example, is AU, and you'll notice it'll auto suggest from your actual data, then we want to change the country field to Australia. And we'll do the same for New Zealand. So we add another choice and we say if the country is New Zealand, then we want to change the country field to the full New Zealand instead of NZ. And then default choice, we do nothing, because then that would change all the remaining ones. We just want the ones that match this criteria, and we want to run it. So we click run, and that will schedule that little flow, as you can see queued, and that will run in the background when it's ready. Now we'll notice in postal code we'll do the same thing. We can already see some erroneous values here, but if we sort ascending, we also want to see if there's any postal codes missing. So there's none missing, but what we do see here is that we'll notice there's a 00 and a 0 at the front of these. So we might want to change these to something else. So let's click, so we've already selected all. So you'll notice it's all yellow, so it's all selected, 96 selected. So now we go to marketing, change data value. We say, we add a condition, and we say if the postal code, now in this case we're going to say if it starts with 0, but we're going to click this plus button to allow us to put multiple values. So 00, 00, 0, or 000, or maybe quadruple 0 too. So that's any postcodes that start with that will match this criteria. Now in this case, what we want to do is we want to change the postal code to say perhaps a default one for 2000, or we might delete those leads, but in this case we'll just set it to 2000, and then we click run now. So that will go through, find all the postal codes that match, and change the postal code to 2000. So it's queued, and that will run in its own time. Now we also noticed that there was some XXX postal codes which are not correct. So one way to check this, you can also sort descending as well. So if we sort descending, you can do this on all the fields, you'll notice the erroneous values usually bubble up to the top. So either they're blank, or they'll have things like characters instead of numbers, so they'll appear at the top. So in this case there's only one, let's just remove it. Well, we won't remove it because removing from the list just removes it from our view of the Marketo database, which is what we call a list in Marketo. We actually want to delete it, so we're not only removing it from this list, we're deleting it from the Marketo database. So that's an important distinction. Removing from a list is not the same as deleting a lead. And there we go. Now we have 95 leads from the existing 100 that we imported.